Say another thing about Arn Anderson, he could cut a promo. Lance, JR, you know what I'm talking about. You ever had a tough time interviewing? So I would interview Juventud Guerrero. Try to figure out what the hell he was saying. And then crack Kevin Nash up when I say, what a breath of fresh air this guy is. Award that was originated back in 1996. The next honor of the evening will recognize Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, with the 2016 CAC Men's Wrestling Award. Previous winners, by the way, Ox Baker, Bill Watts, J.J. Dillon, Jake Roberts, George the Animal Steel, last year's winner, Diamond Dallas Page, amongst many other superstars. To present the award to Mr. Orndorff, and I think it's only fitting, let's bring up his son, Travis Orndorff. Travis?
I wrote my shit on an iPad. I don't know about anybody else. By the way, I don't know if any of you are thinking the same thing, but I'm partying with Mean Gene tonight. And I've been drunk for 4 days, but I'm not counting. It's an honor to be here. It's a privilege, and it's not very often you get to present an award to your father after, you know, a prestigious career. But you know, I actually have a lifelong dream that I'm hoping you can help me with. Something that I've tried to fulfill, and actually I've got a friend, Al. If you could help me with this. I just want to, it's just something I've always wanted to do for my father. It's okay. Paula. 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 During Ken's speech, I borrowed Carl's dictionary and I looked up royal pain in the ass, and actually everybody agreed it was a picture of my father, and I was right next to him, so I don't know what that says. In my lifetime I've been asked two questions. The first one being, what was it like to grow up with Mr. Wonderful as your father? The second one was, what happened to you? I did feel like Danny DeVito most of my life, but and I understand the concern. I usually, you know, I was 18 when I was still using the rubber dumbbells in the gym, and I'll never forget the first time I disappointed him. It was when I threw a baseball, and fortunately he came over and said, "You need to study a lot." But I was the only 9-year-old. This is true story. I was the only 9-year-old whose father pulled up his pickup truck right behind the backstop and put our patio furniture in the back so he could multitask, watching my baseball game and getting a perfect tan. And it was really difficult to explain to all the fathers why he didn't have a shirt on all the time. But by the time I got older, I had to kind of establish my own way. He was the Brandon Bull, I was the Brandon Bullshitter. He was Mr. Wonderful, I was Mr. Wonder who his dad really is. And just for the record, he never practiced a pile driver on me. I do understand that he used some flip-flops to kick the shit out of Vader, though. I wasn't there. But that's the story I heard. I had a completely different perspective about wrestling, and I see Mr. Steve up here, and you guys see professional wrestlers, and I see my babysitters. It was really awkward wearing this big cross and this big ring and a Rolex at 8. But I had bling, so that was cool. But while you might remember my father firing one of the greats, Bobby Heenan, I was in the back spelling fired for him, F-I-R-E-D, and my father looked at me and said, "I'm just glad you studied." I was also present when my dad turned heel on this guy named Hulk Hogan, and I didn't get to see the match. I was in an ambulance, not because anything had happened, bad, but because that was the only way we could get out of there safely. And so he comes out, and he's all oiled up and the tan and the shit. And we get in the ambulance and we drive like a mile down the street. I think it was Philadelphia. I don't remember. I was in. There was no Google. But we get down the street and we get into this Cadillac, and we're thinking nothing of it. We're gonna go drive like down the road, and get to safety. And evidently somebody tipped them off. So about 250 residents of Philadelphia decided to try to turn our car over. So while you were watching Hulk Hogan, I was in the car, like the floorboard, as they tipped it over, and they brought the shields out and started, shooting pistols. And I decided at that point he was right. I probably should go to school, and I changed my pants. But what was it like to have Mr. Wonderful as a father? He taught me 4 lessons. He taught me more than that, but I thought 4 was appropriate. Number 1, he taught me to love my Heavenly Father. Number 2, he would stop it and find any service member and tell them thank you, and more than likely pay for their meal. He taught me to serve my country and love my country. He also taught me that evidently salt and butter is really bad for you. So we didn't enjoy food that much growing up, but I have made up for it this week with Mean Gene. And lastly, there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't call me and tell me he's proud of me, for whatever reason, that he loves me, and he loves my family. And everybody thinks that when he retired, it was because it was an injury, and that's not the truth. He just wanted to be home with his family and tan in the back of the truck. But if you wonder what it was like, it was pretty freaking wonderful, just to be honest. So I'm going to channel my inner Bobby Heenan as best I can. I hope I can show you the respect that you're due. Let me tell you a quick story of it. So I was 8. It seemed like a appropriate age to go see, my dad at the Omni after I won this big karate tournament. And so I come in with the, if you're laughing, you've already heard it, sorry. Bobby's in the room, and I go into the Atlanta Hawks room, and he says, "Who's your favorite, basketball player?" And I'm like, "Dominique Wilkins." That seems appropriate. He's like the human highlight film. So Andre the Giant's there, Stud's there, so forth and so on. And Bobby's like, "Let me show you a magic trick. Don't ever do anything with Bob Heenan when he says, 'Let me show you a magic trick.'" So he handcuffed me to Dominique's locker room, and I was in my gi, and all of a sudden my dad goes to his match, the lights go off, and my pants go down, and I just get poked. And I think there's a statute of limitations on this, so I don't really want to report it, but it was really jacked. Without further ado, and I apologize for the profanity, get on your fucking feet for the greatest athlete to ever grace professional wrestling, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
I have a very weak heart. Give me a minute. I think that if people only knew how much I love what I did for a living, wrestling. I'm a very emotional person, and that's how I operated. When I got into the ring, it was all emotion, buddy. And you better be ready to go, because we're going now. Because you people pay damn good money out there to watch me wrestle and to watch my partner wrestle. And if he didn't live up to what he was gonna get stomped on pretty bad, because it'd just make him look bad. Because I was that way. I was taught by Eddie Graham, Hiro Masuda, Tampa, Florida. And if anybody knows Eddie Graham and Hiro Masuda, I do. I was with them for 9 months, 6 days a week. And I was an athlete. I was an All-American football player. I broad jump, had the state record in Florida for 23 feet in broad jump. Shot put 60-something feet. There wasn't a sport that I couldn't do or master, because that was my mentality. Now, I wasn't real good at school, to be honest with you. If I made a C, that was like an A to me. If I made a D, that wasn't bad. And I had a lot of F's. And thank God that my mom and dad, they loved me so much, we got away with it. I got away with it. I had coaches. Not very many of them would give me an F, because I tried. But I wasn't a real smart guy in a book. But when it comes to sports, or if it comes to fighting, because I used to be in a fight club in Florida. And that fight club was these big corporations, American Can, different clubs. They'd have 4 or 5 guys. And on the weekends, you'd go somewhere and you'd have fist fights. And I mean the real deal. I don't mean working. I mean fist fights, and you get paid. I get paid $200, $300, $400, $500 sometimes. And it wasn't, after a while I quit that. That wasn't worth it. I was brought up pretty tough. I don't mind telling you, I lived in a little trailer. Trailer was 22, 23 feet long. My father had cancer. They divorced, so I stayed with my dad and stayed with him. As you can tell, I'm a very emotional person. Doing this ain't easy for me. It's hard, because the pain and the hurt, But I also look at it in a way that wrestling, and I had a choice, football or wrestling. I wanted to go to try to do wrestling, because I like to entertain people. I do, and I did, and it took me a while, but after a while I started to master it. And before I knew it, the crowds were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I was 260 pounds. And I worked with the Arn Andersons, one of the best, the Ric Flairs, the Bobby Heenan. Those guys, never be another one like them. None. It's a lost art. And it really was an art. And not just anybody can master it. If you didn't love wrestling, you weren't going to master it. You'd get a little paycheck or a paycheck. It was about the money, but it was about mastering it and being the best damn wrestler to put on a pair of trunks, have the best body, which I did, one of the best wrestlers ever in the that was my goal, and I did it. I'm in every Hall of Fame there is. Football, you name it. Basketball, I've been in all of them. Because I worked hard. Because I had to have that, the people. It was for the people, really. And you get that applause and you get that, because they know when you get good applause and people clap hands and everything, you know you're doing the right thing. And that meant more to me than money, really. And I worked my butt off doing it. Broke my neck 3 times, actually 4 times. And after about the 4th time, the doctor said, Paul, if you do it anymore, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to end up in a wheelchair, or you're going to be 6 feet under. I quit then. When he told me that, so I had to quit. Man, I got nuts and bolts and rods and everything else in my neck, and I don't even hurt no more. And I still work out. So wrestling was my life, and I wouldn't change one thing that I did. And the people that I worked with, like the Arns and the Flairs and all these people, the Bobby Heenans, those guys were all good, man. They were the best. We were the best back in them days. It'll never be like that again, because nobody knows how to teach them how to do it the right way. It's called psychology. If you got the psychology, the people will come. They don't know how to do it. It's a lost cause. It's sad. It's sad that we don't have it no more, but you all saw the best. You saw the best there ever was, or is, or ever will be. You got guys here that were the best. And that's pretty dadgum good to me. And my son Travis, he works for Chase Bank. It is Chase, ain't it? Okay, he's the vice president or president of a bank. You know, me and him are pretty tight. If I need a little money, go to my son. And he helps me. He helps me. And he's a good boy. I love him to death. You know, I do. And that's why he's here right now. He wanted to come. And I'm so blessed to be here and to see a lot of you people that I know, your mamas and your daddies, and you know, I know some of them. I see them. And then I see a lot of, there's a few young people here, a lot of pretty girls, And I see them and they told me and used to tell me about it, and I hear that, and it just blows my head off, because it's like I'm reliving it. And I'm a pretty quiet, pretty stay in my own part of town. I don't bother nobody, but don't mess with me. Don't mess with my family, because something bad will happen. I can promise you that. And that's the way I was brought up. You take care of your family, and I do. And I love my family. They know I love them. That boy right there has been so good. He's never given me a lick of trouble. Maybe a couple times, but we stopped that in a hurry. You know what I mean, don't you, Rick? There's another one, Rick. I'm sorry I didn't see. I saw you, but everything. Right there's one of the best workers ever in this business, right there. And he helped me. He even helped me. And that's the way it was back then. We were kind of, a group. That's even better. Brothers. Some of us were sisters too. Not me though.
That was Pat.
We were brothers. And you're right about that, because everybody helped everybody. He just pitched me in the butt. I got 1 minute. Okay. Anyway, I see you guys, Arn, Ricky. Ricky was a really good friend of mine. He helped me a lot back in the day. He helped me, and I did too. But you know, at one time or another, we all may have a little argument here, a little argument there. That's all. That's gone with me. Ric Flair, one of the best ever. Another one. And I was in an era that, my opinion, it'll never be retreated. Never. I don't think it'll happen again. That's sad. I wish it did. But I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for helping, the Hall of Fame and everything, and helping us. That means a lot, because I'm doing and helping Brian Blair, which is my best friend ever. He's the president. At least that's what he's telling me. So I believe him. Brian Blair, they don't get no better than Brian Blair. He's smart. And he's as tough as nails, buddy. I can promise you, because me and him we used to have street fights back in the day. And some of y'all know what I mean. We had street fights. And when you get challenged by another club or something, he was right with me, Bobby, when it happened. Anyway, thank each and every one of you for coming. I love you. I truly do. Thank you. Thank you very much.